Hey guys, so today we are looking at lesson 13 in the Ready book. You guys have a copy of this at home, and we are continuing to talk about different text structures. So a text structure is just the way that an author puts together their writing to help get across the point that they're trying to make. So in this lesson, we are looking at using cause and effect as a text structure, as well as using compare and contrast as a text structure. So with our learning target for this activity, it says when you compare and contrast how the information in text is structured, you will better understand the purpose of each text. So again, the reason for the text, the point that the author is trying to make. So follow along with me on your sheet as I read the following. How is a house different from a skyscraper? They each have a different structure and purpose. Authors use different text structures for specific purposes too. So we're talking again about cause and effect and compare and contrast. So let's talk about cause and effect text structure first. The purpose of a cause and effect text structure is to tell about events and explain why they happen. Words and phrases like cause, effect, because, and as a result are sometimes used in a cause and effect structure. So when you see words like this being used in a text or a passage that you're reading, these are going to be clue words or keywords to help you figure out that, oh, what I'm reading is written with a cause and effect text structure. So remember, when we think back to just basic cause and effect, the cause is why something happens and the effect is what happens. So now let's talk about compare and contrast text structure. The purpose of a compare and contrast text structure is to describe how two or more things are similar and different. A compare-contrast text structure will frequently use words like both, unlike, similarly, and in contrast. And these are words we've seen before throughout several different CKLA lessons that we have done throughout the year. Comparing texts can help you see their structures and purposes. So we're going to do a little activity together. So looking at the bottom of the page, it asks us to read the passages below. Look for evidence of the structure and the purpose of each one. So we're going to go through each passage. After we read the first passage, we're going to go through and see if we can find any of those keywords or clue words from above that we talked about. And then we'll do the same for the second passage. So let's start with passage number 1. Octopuses and squids have ink sacs. When threatened, they defend themselves by shooting a thick cloud of dark ink into the water. Because the ink is thick and dark, it hides octopuses and squids from their attackers. As a result, octopuses and squids have time to escape. So, after reading this passage, let's go back and look. Are there any of the above clue words for cause and effect or compare and contrast being used? Well, I automatically see two words that are used for cause and effect text structure. So I see the word because, and then I see the phrase as a result. So I know because I see these clue words, this has to be written with cause and effect. So now let's look at the second passage. Octopuses and squids live in salt water. Both have blue blood, hard beaks, and 8 arms lined with suckers. Octopuses live in dens on the seafloor where they hunt for clams, lobsters, and crabs. In contrast, squids live in the open ocean and eat fish and shrimp. So just like we did with passage 1, let's go back and look for clue words. So I automatically, again, see words like both and phrases like in contrast, which tells me that this has to be written using compare and contrast text structure. So now that we've read passage 1 and passage 2, we've identified those clue words or those key words. We're going to look at the chart on the other side of your page. So with this chart, we are going to think about what we've learned about text structures. We're going to use the chart below to compare and contrast the purposes and text structures of the passages. We're going to include evidence of the structure for each passage. So we're going to start with passage 1, which if you look back over, this is the one where we identified cause and effect keywords. So for author's purpose, when I go back and reread passage 1, it tells me, especially at the end, about octopuses and squids having time to escape, and it says something about hiding from their attackers. So I know the purpose of this passage. This was written to tell how octopuses and squids defend themselves. So there's our purpose for passage 1, why it was written. So then the next box here is text structure. Well, we already identified those clue words in the passage that tell us that this was written using cause and effect. Those words like because and as a result. So then in the last box, this is evidence of structure. So not evidence of the purpose, evidence of structure. So how did we know that it was cause and effect? Again, going back to those clue words, we saw words like because being used. And then we saw the phrase as a result. So now what we did for passage 1, we're going to do for passage number 2. So starting with author's purpose, why was passage 2 written? Well, we know it was written with compare and contrast, and we know it's about octopuses and squids. So this was written to tell how octopuses and squids are alike and different. So then with the text structure, again, alike and different. So we know this was written with compare and contrast. And then with the evidence of structure, again, not the evidence of the purpose, the evidence of the structure that was used, we want to go back to those clue words that we identified in passage 2. So we saw the word both, and then we saw the word in contrast.